Call it life-imitating art at the Pentagon. The U.S. military has been busy developing an Iron Man suit to better equip U.S. soldiers. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Pentagon is enlisting Hollywood's help in creating a suit based on the blockbuster films and the comic book character to better protect elite U.S. forces. The goal is to develop body armor that will better protect soldiers against things like bullets, bombs, and other types of attacks while increasing mobility. A project manager for the military's Iron Man suit says that he's not sure if America will have its own Iron Man per se, but there will be improved technologies.
We have products now that are going to range from exoskeletons to microclimate cooling vests to spines that support the helmet.
Well, the Pentagon hopes to create a new generation of protective military armor over the next few years. This type of suit is successfully developed. If it is successfully developed, it will change the way the military fights wars.
Kind of like a modern-day RoboCop. Now over to the Middle East, where Israeli leaders continue to urge Israelis and Palestinians to remain calm. Officials now say they believe the death of an Arab teen was part of a revenge attack for the recent killings of the 3 kidnapped Israeli teenagers. A group of men were arrested yesterday in connection to the killing and are currently being investigated by Israeli police. The suspect's attorney says little is known at this time because authorities won't allow him to speak with his client.
Because there is a warrant against us meeting our client, so we don't know what exactly are the accusations they heard.
The suspect's defense attorney says he will appeal the warrant prohibiting him from meeting his clients to a higher court tomorrow. We'll be sure to keep you updated on this developing story.
Of course, we're focused on that story as well. We're also focused on the immigration story, which was the big topic of discussion yesterday on the Sunday talk shows. We've got a couple sound bites we're going to play. First is Jay Johnson, in no uncertain terms, letting Congress know that the White House will act if they don't.
Fix our broken immigration system. This is something
he can't do all of that by himself. What can he do by himself to take a step?
There are a number of things that the president and I can do to fix the broken immigration system, and we will. If Congress doesn't act, we will. If Congress doesn't act, we will.
So there you go. We've heard that before. We talked about Jay Johnson, but I also want to focus on a couple of things that John McCain and Lindsey Graham said over the weekend. First, we have a clip from Lindsey Graham, I believe, talking about the need for comprehensive immigration reform. Let's play that clip.
Bob, there is a change in our party. I don't see how you could effectively win the presidency in 2016 if you adopt self-deportation as the Republican view toward immigration. Ted Cruz embraces legalization without a path to citizenship. Things are changing on our side.
So a change in the party. And what exactly does that mean? Because we know with the Growth and Opportunity report that came out after, the autopsy report as it was called after that said, we must embrace and champion comprehensive immigration reform. At least there's 2 guys left, JD, John McCain and Lindsey Graham, who still believe that.
Well, and again, this shows what happened in South Carolina with, 6 or 7 challengers. Lindsey Graham was able to coalesce his support and walk right through the primary. And we may recall a certain Republican primary in 2010 when John McCain talked about securing the border, only to reverse his vote with a gang of 8. Aside from old battles that may be a little personal in nature, take a look at Marco Rubio, the freshman senator from Florida with such promise, with such abilities nationally. He became part of the gang of 8. He embraced amnesty, and his numbers have dropped like a rock. If you noticed Lindsey Graham right there, the fact is that he is embracing something that Washington may be enamored with, that the chambers of commerce may be enamored with, but that does not work nationally.
Now,
and talk about mixed signals.
Does it work nationally, though? Because that was the big issue, self-deportation back in 2012. And Miranda, as a voter, I want to get your take on this. If the Republican Party does not put forth an alternative to what's happening right now, are they going to pay for it come 2016?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, obviously. And I think it's just further separating them and creating more strife in the party. People don't know, like you just saw right there. You just played that soundbite right there.
And JD, we hear terms like normalization. You know, the question is anything short of deporting these folks back to their home country amnesty?
Here's the problem. We tried an amnesty in 1986. We tried an amnesty in 1986. Presidents following Ronald Reagan did not enforce the law. What is broken is the will of the federal government to enforce the law, not the will of the American people to see it enforced. We can make light of the term self-deportation, but let's say it this way. When laws are enforced, people obey the law.
I'm not trying to make light of the self-deportation.
Well, I understand.
And you look at Newt Gingrich's response to that, the fact that he said it was the most anti-human thing. I think this could come back to hurt them if they don't.
And Newt Gingrich's numbers dropped like a rock. I would love to talk more about this as a guy who's actually run for office, but let's talk now about a guy who ran for office after capturing the imagination of the world by orbiting the Earth, John Glenn.
He had served in 2 wars and flown over 150 combat missions. But in just 60 seconds, this Marine Corps officer would experience a ride like no other. At 9:47 a.m. on the 20th of February, 1962, Lieutenant Colonel John Glenn Jr. of New Concord, Ohio, found himself sitting on top of an Atlas 6 rocket filled with 600,000 pounds of fuel. At liftoff, 360,000 pounds of thrust hurled the massive rocket and its occupant into space and America's history books. John Glenn became the 4th human being to enter space and the first American to orbit the Earth. For his remarkable heroism, President Kennedy awarded Colonel Glenn NASA's Distinguished Service Medal.
As our knowledge of this universe in which we live increases, may God grant us the wisdom and guidance to use it wisely. Thank you, Colonel.
Glenn went on to become the United States Senator from Ohio, and in 1984 ran for the Democratic presidential nomination, but lost to Walter Mondale. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.